Hello and welcome to Movie Film Studios, the only podcast that takes you inside the mind of two film studio executives as we unravel and then re-ravel the best that Hollywood has to offer. I'm Isaac.
And I'm AJ, and this week we plunge into the icy tundra to track down our missing dog who's deeply embroiled in an undercover sting operation against hardened criminals. But before we get into something new, it's time for something old as we check in on our last feature film in Box Office Report.
So last week we released the criminal mother-son road trip across America, prison break Robert Redford film called Tequila Sunset? November
Sunset. Tequila Sunrise was another film we made.
Right. This is not loosely based on that?
No.
So November Sunset. How did that go this week, AJ?
Directed by Robert Redford, as you mentioned. This film exceeded every single possible expectation that we had. It is possibly the most successful film we've ever released. So it's absolutely blowing up around the world. The returns on our investment are astronomical. Very slight problem though.
Right.
As soon as people heard that Robert Redford was involved and the Oscar buzz started happening when the sort of news of this script and the cast were getting out there, the door burst open and every single person that wanted to get on board as a producer came in through the building.
Right.
So basically what's happened is everyone knows that this film is going to do well and they just want to get their name on as a producer credit. So Robert Redford, in his infinite glory, just opened the doors to our studio, physically opened the doors, and we have got producers everywhere now. They are all over the place.
Are they all the ones that are walking around the corridors and stuff?
They're everywhere. It's like sand. You know when you go to the beach and you
just gets
brush
everywhere.
off you brush it all off.
You think you've got it all?
It's still there,
and more shows up. So
this is what's happening.
Infested by producers.
I'm opening doors and there's producers in there. I'm going into the bathroom. It's just full of producers. I'm like leaving for my car and somehow open the boot. Another two producers in there.
The only way,
everywhere,
apparently, to get rid of them is to kill the executive producer.
Oh, okay.
Because they're the one who sustains the hive.
The lead, isn't that us? I thought we were the executive producers. So yeah, I mean, yeah, we're probably gonna have to track down. There must be another lead.
That's right.
It can't be us.
The credits are going to run forever if this.
I know.
They all get billing.
That's the thing, and now we've just got a studio full of bloody executive producers and producers that we can't do anything about. So yeah, kind of, film's done astronomically well, but we've got a studio full of producers.
We'll have to capitalize on the resource. I say resource. Are producers really a resource, or are they a drain on resources? I don't know.
I think it's a bit of both, to be honest.
That's all right.
All right, on to this week in trailers. And first film for you today is Cold Pursuit, starring Liam Neeson, Laura Dern, Emmy Rossum, and directed by Hans-Peter Molland.
I'm no speech giver. I'm just a regular guy who keeps a stretch of civilization open. But I really am honored to be named Citizen of the Year.
Mr. Coxman?
Yeah.
It's about your son.
He's dead. Tell me what happened.
He got mixed up with some drug dealer by the name of Viking.
Who's Viking?
Viking's a whole different breed. Do you know what a bully is? I gave you Lord of the Flies.
All the answers are in that book.
I'm gonna kill these guys.
Really?
What makes you think you can kill a man?
I read it. A crime novel.
Three of Viking's dealers have disappeared.
So this one seems a bit of a mashup between Fargo and Taken.
Yeah.
It's got a bit of the. Have you ever seen a film called Seven Psychopaths? And In Bruges, it's got this sort of like very, even Coen Brothers. Again, they did Fargo, so it's got a very, very sort of a quick, whippy kind of feel to it. There's a soundtrack in the background which is kind of against. It's a bit more happy and poppy than the fact that Liam Neeson is going around killing a whole bunch of criminals in this snow wasteland.
It kind of bucks the trend a little bit of using Liam Neeson as this hard-assed action man and kind of casts him more as... the story of this film is that his son has been killed, or his son is dead.
Due to the fact he was embroiled in some sort of criminal drug dealing.
This big, huge criminal syndicate. And so as a result, he goes out and seeks revenge, but not in a way that's sort of like he knows what he's doing. Halfway through the trailer, he's like, I read a crime novel, so therefore I'm going to be able to do all of this stuff.
He said that. I still thought they were going to reveal a twist that he did have a particular set of skills.
Yeah.
That he had a secret life of killing people before this that he didn't tell anyone about. But it seems like he's just like a mailman delivery driver.
He's an ordinary guy, yeah. And I kind of like that about this. Like, it's sort of just, again, it bucks the trend of like casting Liam Neeson in these kind of films, so it just makes it a little bit more depth than
we watched a trailer a couple of months ago where Jennifer Garner,
yes,
her son is killed by accident in a playground by criminals, and she spends the next 5 years training to be the elite warrior and then takes down the crime syndicate.
Yep.
It very much feels like this film, except the Jennifer Garner one took itself way too serious.
Very seriously.
And this one takes itself significantly less
A
seriously.
little bit tongue-in-cheek, this one. And it looks kind of fun. It's got that, it's sort of set in a sort of snowy kind of area as well, so you do get
exactly. Think Fargo.
Like
the cops there
Fargo,
are wearing the
flappy
woolly,
hats.
flappy police hats with the...
And looks like it could be a little bit of fun.
Yeah, it is kind of a little bit more violent as well. Like, you see some of the ways in which he goes about killing people is like wrapping them up in fishing wire and hanging them off signs to slowly freeze to death overnight.
It's
he chokes someone. He's like, I killed you. And then they start gasping as well. It's like, I've got to go back and finish off the choking. It's a very cavalier like attitude towards death.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean,
comedy is now his particular set of skills. So. See that later next year, actually. All right, second film for this week's episode is A Dog's Way Home, starring Ashley Judd, Edward James Olmos, Bryce Dallas Howard, and directed by Charles Martin Smith.
There's one thing I know about the world. It's not the little things that matter. It's the tiny things.
Oh, do you want a tiny piece of cheese?
Yes, yes! Cheese is my life! My name is Bella, and this is how I met Lucas.
She does seem to really like you.
Maybe that's a sign her home's supposed to be with me. Hi, Mom.
Hi, Mom! We played ball, and we played Don't Choose Shoes.
Bella, don't you shoot.
That one was his favorite. Over the years, we did everything together.
Good girl.
We chased squirrels. We went to work. We even played a game called Doctor.
Doctor! Dr. Gann. Hey, Dr. Gann.
Everything all right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Life with Lucas was the best, but when he wasn't around, I missed him so much. It's that squirrel again. Squirrel, squirrel, squirrel! Bella!
So this film is based on a novel by the same name, and it is a absolute family-friendly dog goes missing and then has to try and make its way home kind of film. The obvious twist with this one is that the dog has a running dialogue.
A bit look who's talking, I suppose.
Except like the dog doesn't talk to the humans in the world. Like it can't actually talk. It's sort of, you're just hearing its thoughts.
Internal monologue.
Yeah. And the dog is voiced by Bryce Dallas Howard for some reason.
The entire trailer trying to guess who this voice was, because again, it's just sort of like generic female voice, and whoever's doing it, obviously we now learned that it was Bryce Dallas Howard, didn't seem to be putting that much effort into it either.
It's really generic in the sense of like, if you remember those like old made-for-TV Disney films, this is exactly that, voiced by someone who just needed to go to a recording studio for a day, hammer out like a couple of pages of lines and then leave, or collect their paycheck and then leave. And there's one thing about this particular trailer that...
It got us. It really got us.
Found pretty amusing. So the trailer goes for about 2 minutes 30, pretty much your average length, and it starts off with like the dog talking about how her owner was the best in the world and that he had such a great life and they did all these things together and this and that. And then the dog goes missing.
But it's more than that. It's he finds the puppy.
Yep.
They form a bond.
Yep.
He goes off to college.
Yep.
The puppy gets lost.
Yep.
The puppy has to is found by some people next to a river.
Yep.
The puppy goes to the forest and fights some wolves with the help of a bobcat. The puppy the dog then goes and steals a steak from a barbecue.
Yep.
And then rescues a man from an avalanche.
Yep.
And then the final scene is the puppy finding its way home and the owner turning around going, "It couldn't be." I'm like, this is the entire film from start to go. From every it is literally a 10-second snippet of every single event within this entire film.
It hits every single beat that you would expect in a film of this type in just an ultra compressed way. You do not need to see this film.
There's no need to go and watch it.
There's no need to see this film. Unless you like... Actually, the one reason I want to see this film is that apparently Edward James Olmos is in it.
Somewhere.
He's nowhere to be seen in the trailer that I can see. I just want to see where he is and what role he's playing. But aside from that, there's no reason to see this film. I'm pretty sure, like, if you listen to the audio just then, you'd probably get the idea of what the entire film
You'll
is
get
about.
the scene. So, in a very different way, this film has approached the trailer of just going, we're just going to condense the entire film in.
Yeah.
So every week there's a new horror film, and occasionally we talk about them. Occasionally we watch them and go, we've done enough horror films recently. There was one this week, and this major selling point on that one is just... we need a big jump scare at the end.
Yeah.
So we're not going to give away anything about the plot. We'll give it like little hints about what the demonic possession style is.
Yep.
And we'll do a jump scare. And then you go and watch the film at the cinema and it's quite bad because like it doesn't quite have that sort of condensed jump scare. Whereas that's a much better way of marketing a film. I reckon the horror guys have got it down.
Yep.
They know how to make a scary trailer.
Yep.
This sickly sweet, family-friendly puppy adventure is just like... I wasn't going to go watch the film, and now I feel like I'm going to watch it even less because I've already seen it.
Yeah.
You took what should be 90 minutes, or 70 minutes, or 65, or 60, whatever you're going to go with those terrible films, and you've condensed it down very, very accurately into a 2-minute and 30-second trailer.
See, the thing is as well, if you go and see this film and it's any longer than 2 minutes 30, you're just going to think it's like dead weight.
You're wasting your time.
It's so inefficient to make it any longer than 2 minutes 30. On to the last trailer for this week's episode, which is Destroyer, starring Nicole Kidman, Sebastian Stan, and directed by Karen Kusama.
I spent my whole life scrapping. Jealous, hungry, scared. I want to find something decent, something good. You can be better than me. Who is it?
No ID, no idea.
I know your whole story. Placing our agent undercover, she'll look right enough next to our guy. If we do this, we accept the consequences. Do you love me?
You know I do.
This is a wild trailer.
Yeah,
it
really
is.
kind of... I did not pick it was Nicole Kidman as well. From the original visuals, she's very haggard and old. She looks like she could be a meth addict at that point.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm not sure if she undergoes some sort of... is it a flashback where suddenly she looks a lot younger?
I think it's sort of... The trailer sort of flashes backwards and forwards and sort of goes in between different time periods. And it sort of tracks her journey from... what seems to be, I guess she's a mother of some kind, or she has a child, and it's then her sort of descent into the world of crime.
I think she's part of an elite task force, a drug enforcement task force.
Yeah.
She then goes undercover, and I'm not sure if she falls for one of the criminals or whether she just pretends to, but she gets a little bit too deep into this into this criminal underbelly, and it is her world falling apart. It shows bits where she's like, my mind is fractured, I'm not sure who I am anymore, and it's dark, it looks good. again, one of the classic tropes of these movie trailers is just title cards with reviews of Nicole Kidman gives one of the most stunning performances of her career. It'll take you to places you never thought Nicole Kidman could go. And apparently everyone's just raving about how good she is in this film.
Nothing Nicole Kidman has done in her career can prepare you for Destroyer.
That's a direct quote.
That is
from
a direct quote from some critic of some kind. And you know what? They could be right. Like, this feels like the kind of film that's actually justified in having those kind of titles, because it is wild. I've never seen Nicole Kidman in a film like this, acting like this before. She's doing the action chops. She's got the crazy physical changes a la like Christian Bale for every film that he does. I don't want to toss around the whole Oscar nomination stuff, but
this is the one thing that this trailer didn't do, was actually say that she's an Academy Award winner. They did all of the classic titles, praising her performance, but never once did they say starring Academy Award winner Nicole Kidman. And who was Sebastian Stan?
Sebastian Stan, who's
from Avengers,
Bucky,
and I think
from Avengers.
His big thing at the moment is a Netflix series called The Bodyguard, which everyone's raving about. So.
I feel bad for the other actors in this film, though, because the trailer only concerns itself with how good Nicole Kidman is. Everyone else is rubbish compared to her.
Apparently, no one else. There's no other good roles. It's like they divided the script up. It's like Nicole Kidman got 97 pages, and the remaining 3 were given to the other couple of cast members.
They shot their bits in like a day and then just left the studio. That was it. So yeah, go see that film later.
That's called Destroyer.
Destroyer, yeah. All right, those are the 3 trailers for this week's episode. But of course, before we can do anything with those, we're going to have to take a little walk over to the green room.
Let's go.
Let's have a quick recap of this week's trailers.
We have a kind of tongue-in-cheek, witty criminal seedy underbelly.
Yep, crime.
Set in an interesting geographic location.
Yep.
We have a sickly sweet family pet comedy. Not comedy, but maybe adventure, sure.
I think it's a drama.
Dramedy? Dramventure? Dreadventure.
I think it's... Sounds like a drug.
Yep, Dreadventure. I like it.
Yep.
And we have a needlessly dark,
gritty,
undercover cop, gritty, tour de force from an established actress.
Yes. I believe this week it's your turn to choose the trailer. What have you got for us?
This is a weird one. This is a very, very weird one.
So, varied this week. There's such a wide gamut of films.
I reckon we're going to go out on a limb here.
Yep.
We make 2 movies this week.
2 movies, okay.
The first one is just a 2-minute long video about a cat who gets lost and finds their way home.
So you're saying we don't shoot a film, we just shoot the trailer.
We make the film is the trailer.
The film is the
trailer. The film is
the
trailer. It's this avant-garde thing, and it's just to keep the family friendly happy. And what I really want to do is something with an underbelly drug sort of thing.
So
interesting geographic location, maybe undercover. It gets really dark in places, and then there's a weird soundtrack in other places to let you know it's not so serious, and then it goes back to being super serious again.
So wait, hang on. You seem to be pulling from all...
Well, I mean, there's not a lot of difference between Cold Pursuit and Destroyer. It is very much like...
tone, I guess.
Yeah, people losing themselves in a criminal story where they are seeking vengeance or killing people. Except one of them has a fun sort of offbeat soundtrack with kind of like upbeat sort of jazzy music, and the other one is just like ominous, nothing droning sounds of like the wind-swept deserts, and that is the state of my mind. But apart from that, they're very similar subject matter, so I reckon we can find somewhere in between those 2.
Okay, cool. Can I add an addendum to that? In terms of this being a 2-film thing, it needs to be a double bill release as well. Right. So you know how Pixar do their short at the front of the film, and then they have their main feature. We're going to do that too.
All right.
We're going to have our family-friendly cat adventure comedy drama, whatever, at the start of the film. 2 minutes 30. Get the kids all nice and happy, and then straight into whatever we end up making after that. Into our hardcore drama, gritty crime.
I like it. I also want to jam another word into Dreadventure, if it's at all possible. Does the word pet fit in there? Because there could be Pet Venture.
Pet Venture?
Pet Venture? Because to get the drama end of it, it's a Pet Venture.
Yep, okay, I got that.
Which is a pet adventure drama.
Pet adventure drama, yep, okay. So do we need to work on the pet adventure drama first? No?
A cat gets lost, it finds its way home. Done. 2 minutes.
Voiceover. We'll cast a voice for that and sort that out.
Someone who just needs some money, wants to phone it in, that'll be fine.
Okay. One of the producers in our studio, I assume. All right, so let's move on to like the main big feature, which is our intense film. Where are you going to go with this?
Exactly. I think the Cold Pursuit is... I love the name, by the way.
It's a really good name.
It's a kind of name that we'd spend about 20 minutes coming up with and then be really happy with ourselves. It just needs to be geographically interesting. Yep. That's the only thing.
All right. Can I throw a potential, an interesting little spanner into the works here?
Okay.
So let's link the two films together.
Slightly, yes.
Slightly.
Are you saying same setting?
Same setting, even the same world.
All right. I even like the idea of like halfway through this gritty crime thing, like a cat just like crosses the road.
Yeah. As in, because it's part of that journey, right?
It is a one step along. We share a scene.
Yeah.
We share a scene between the two of them.
In our 2-minute 30 film, there's about a 5-second sequence where it suddenly just goes, the tone goes incredibly dark.
Oh, no, I think seen from a different perspective, a cat crosses a road
it looks fine.
And there's flaming cars in the background. It's like, do, 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 do. And then when we see the same scene from the other perspective, it's just guys with like rail guns, like drug raid, get your hands, cars exploding, and then you kind of see just a cat running through it.
Past.
So it's the same thing.
And then just like very slightly in the background, if you listen to it, particularly in the 7.1 Dolby surround sound mix, if you isolate one of the channels, you can just hear the like plinky plonky soundtrack of that like other film, just really quietly as it goes past and then it disappears.
Right.
So whatever the universe is that this cat film happens in is also the same universe that our gritty crime action drama happens in. So if we choose a setting,
yes,
we do it for both. So what's our setting going to be? I mean, suburbia is kind of been there, done that.
Yeah.
What else have we got?
That's a good question. What about some sort of like idyllic island paradise?
Paradise is a nice one.
That's. I mean, I suppose that you get a lot of that feel from the Mexican drug cartel kind of.
Yep.
I mean, we've done this a couple of times where we've had to go through and try to find something that's different, something that's a little bit... Underwater? We haven't been underwater?
An underwater base of some kind? Like a utopian city under the sea?
I think this is probably a little bit more grounded in reality, and grounded in actual crime.
It's true.
Where does actual crime happen?
Wherever you want, really.
Yeah. What are the 5 basic land types in Magic the Gathering? That's where I go to when I try and come up with it.
You've got forest.
There's forest. There's mountain. There's desert. Plains.
Yep.
Can we do mountains? Mountains is good. Interesting one.
Yeah.
Maybe we can do, not really treading on the idea of snow.
Yep.
But maybe we do some sort of like Swiss Alpsy kind of mountain, but in the summertime where it's just kind of like pinewood forest.
See, I was going to go more towards like the Asia Pacific region for like the mountainous regions, because like you get that whole that sort of the same kind of tropical island feel.
We do like the Golden Triangle, the point where Laos and Cambodia and Vietnam all meet. There's actually like a lot of heroin trade going on in there.
Yep.
There's nice sort of like river. There's the jungly kind of feel. There's some nice sort of like isolated limestone mountain ranges and islands. I like it. Okay, that's where we're going. We're going to Southeast Asia.
And we could also cast some Asian actors because we're very bad at that. And I think the only time we've cast an Asian actor was that Christmas special that we made. With
the Singaporean actors that I knew from sitcoms. Great.
Yeah. Anyway, that'll be for later on. So yeah, let's do that. Now, do we want to make it about drugs, or is it going to be something more sinister?
Ooh, interesting. Video piracy.
Yes, let's make it video piracy. Let's make it like maybe we set it a little bit in the past as well.
Oh, all right.
So
I was actually going to go slightly in the future, where information is worth more than.
Ooh.
I know I like the past. I actually really like like a mid-90s feel pirated VHS tapes before the internet came along.
Oh, okay.
And video piracy was so easy.
Yep.
This is actually sort of like bootleg, mass-produced bootleg videos. It's a massive industry.
I don't want to like immediately disregard that idea. I just want to push it slightly more forward. There's something kind of alluring about VHS. It has a kind of romanticized look to it now. You know what doesn't have a romanticized look to it?
Laserdisc.
Video CDs and super video CDs. I dug one up the other day because I had one like left over from somewhere and I popped it into my drive and it still worked. It was like a bootleg copy of Spider-Man. It's terrible. Like it's almost unwatchable in terms of the quality, but it's like this is what we were using back in like the early 2000s and the early to mid 2000s is like our primo piracy method of choice.
I think what we have to do then is like Destroyer, how it jumps around in time.
Yeah.
This is the evolution of video piracy throughout the 90s, throughout video disc, and then the invention of the internet, and sort of then it doesn't become can we sell the videos? It's like, can we get leaked versions before the cinemas get their versions?
The
so it's
screeners
the one character's journey through this world of video piracy.
Can we make this character kind of like the kingpin of video piracy? So in the same way that like Scarface was the that sort of like one man who was the absolute leader of the heroin trade or whatever, cocaine trade. Sorry, we have like a central character in our film who is just like the absolute master of video piracy and is always on the forefront of like piracy methods. To like release into the market.
I like that character. I don't think they're the main character.
Okay.
You know what I think we do?
Yep.
I just finished reading Heart of Darkness, which is essentially the story of Apocalypse Now, which is set in Southeast Asia.
Yes.
And I reckon we have that Marlon Brando type character who has got into the video piracy world and has kind of lost their mind.
That's what we take from Destroyer as well.
Yeah.
So like the Nicole Kidman character who's sort of gotten into that. So they started from a place of innocence in the same way that Marlon Brando was just a soldier or a colonel, and then gets lost in a like twisted tale of madness as the allure of video piracy sort of takes over their mind, and they just become like this new character afterwards.
But I think because we are jumping back and forth, maybe they are the protagonist in the mid-90s.
Yes.
And then they are the villain in the late 2000s.
Yeah, exactly.
And so, like we can actually have this, young Marlon Brando to old Marlon Brando sort of transition of this character.
Yep. I kind of want to cast this person now, though.
Right.
Because I think like the entire film's kind of like hinging on this.
Do something that we don't normally do this early as well.
Yep.
Can I costume this character as well?
Yes, you can.
Because they are definitely wearing a white suit with a bleached straw white fedora and a red shirt.
Yep.
And they might maybe have an English accent and they've come into Southeast Asia not really knowing what's going on and they get caught up in this whole atmosphere.
I see Anthony Hopkins in that role.
Ooh.
We'll probably have to CGI him for the early Disney style.
Maybe we actually just do. I'd rather not CGI him. I just want to we'll cast a person as a young Anthony Hopkins.
A young Anthony Hopkins. Oh man, now you've backed us into a corner.
Exactly, but I kind of like. Have we cast Eddie Redmayne recently? I reckon he could do a young Anthony Hopkins, possibly.
Okay. I can see that.
Yeah, so the young version of him, he ages quite drastically over the course of the mid-90s to the late 2000s.
That's what happens. That's what video piracy does to you. In the same way that like if you start sampling your own product in the
what
drug world.
happens to a videotape when you make a copy of a copy of a copy? It starts becoming more staticky. It grades. You get the lines through it. The audio goes out of sync. This is what happens to people when they immerse themselves in this world.
Sampling his own product. Like that's what happens. He starts watching all these films, all these TV shows that are coming in, and because he's just there 24/7 consuming media, it just sort of eats away at his body. So he ages. Let's say like the film's in a span of what, like
25 years?
25 years? That seems a bit long, maybe 15.
Well, 1995 through to... That actually takes it way too long, doesn't it? Let's go 1992 through to 2018.
That's a current day. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Sure. Why not? And that's because like maybe the end of the film is Netflix just destroying the video piracy industry.
That's right. Yeah.
And so, thank you, Netflix.
I like this is. I feel like what we've made here is almost like a very long version of those like piracy warning messages at the start.
You wouldn't steal a hat. Exactly. You wouldn't steal a car. Why would you steal a movie?
In our film, Netflix is like the savior at the end that like rescues the entire film industry.
Maybe our young female undercover cop who comes in the early 2000s is a video piracy enforcement officer from a service like Netflix.
Yeah, exactly.
And get Big Brother Netflix to finance Mufasa Woodard with a bit of their big budget dough.
Yeah, exactly.
Have you scrolled through that recently? The number of originals that they are pumping out. I thought us putting out a movie every single week would be enough to keep up, but they're just steamrolling the market.
They'll go through and there'll be like 7 new releases every day. I'm just like, I can't. Who's going to watch all this? You know who is going to watch it? Our central character, Anthony Hopkins, who's going to be sitting in his bunker. Actually, like, I think that's how the film ends as well. Like, he gets arrested, thrown into jail, and then the end frame is just him watching Netflix.
Yeah.
And then just sort of like entranced by it, and then that's it. The movie ends there.
So if we've cast Anthony Hopkins as the older version and Eddie Redmayne as the younger version, there is a modern day protagonist, undercover female cop. Cop's a loose word. I'm not sure if like video piracy enforcement officer, but we'll just say cop for short. Who's that? Because I always every week. I'm sure I suggest it every week. But Emma Stone.
No, let's go instead for.
But she plays a very convincing half Asian person.
God. I was going to say Eddie Redmayne's co-star Felicity Jones.
Felicity Jones.
Yeah,
I like that. I think that's a good casting.
Yeah. I feel like Emma Stone is too.
Can we at least dye Felicity Jones's hair red?
Red, yeah, sure, that's fine. I just feel like Emma Stone is too bubbly and her eyes are too big. She looks too she looks too like innocent for this world of like intense piracy.
Okay.
And I think that like maybe Felicity Jones just has that kind of like
a bit more of an edge to her.
That edge, yeah, where you can sort of see her like maybe she'll just snap it in a unit.
There's a couple of shots in Destroyer of Nicole Kidman looking down the barrel of the gun as she kills people and stomping on people's faces. I can probably see Felicity Jones doing that a little bit more than old mate Emma Stone. So that's right. Yeah.
All right, so this is what we need to do now. So we need to somehow justify the amount of violence in this film, because at the moment we've got this great concept of like video piracy, video this, but like generally when you think of video piracy, you do not think of like gunfire, death, violence, explosions.
You'd be surprised.
Well, I would be surprised. Surprise me, please.
Just like you're saying, like guns, explosions. that celluloid is very highly flammable, so like that'll go up in flames when you burn things down. There's Molotov cocktails being thrown through windows to destroy people's supplies.
But they're made out of like spooled tape.
Exactly. How do you think it gets smuggled from country to country? Like you've got to get a roll tape up and hide it inside. I don't know what you'd hide it inside, but we'll do our research and find out.
You hide it inside another tape of it, like a home video tape or something. Okay. I just want to figure out like some justifications for the violence in this.
It's the money.
It's the money. It's purely the money.
It's a big industry. This is where all organized crime comes from. You pick a big industry that generates a lot of money. And hey, we want a bit of the money. We want a little bit of I
think what we can do. I think we make this a little bit more sinister, and because we don't want to throw any good press at Netflix's way because they're a direct competitor to us, I say we subtly sow the seeds that Netflix stole the idea of what this person was doing as a distribution method and tried to legalize it.
Ooh.
So like, let's say that our Anthony Hopkins is dealing with pirated films, is dealing with like initially pirated tapes, then video CDs and so on and so forth, but his method of distributing it in the world is kind of the precursor to Netflix.
Because Netflix originally started out as a DVD mailing service.
Indeed,
where you would order the thing online and they would send you the DVD in the mail. What better way of distributing pirated content is just sending discs through the mail?
Exactly.
So Netflix, you're saying Netflix, this is not we're not going to get the money from them. This is actually like a smear campaign.
And you know what? This is what happens. Netflix sends their representative, their anti-piracy representative, played by Felicity Jones. But as the film progresses, Felicity Jones starts getting clued into the fact that Netflix has an ulterior motive, which is to steal the idea for distribution of movies from Anthony Hopkins' character.
Right.
And as a result of it, she starts getting disillusioned with the whole, what am I doing here? What do I represent these days?
Yeah, because while he started out like physically copying the VHSs and distributing them, over time he's become the leading edge in the digital distribution. He's got his finger on the pulse of the internet.
Exactly.
And Netflix is like, we're in this mailing system. How do we get some sort of online platform that this guy has created over the course of his lifespan?
Exactly. So like, Netflix is just like, oh no, from a public point of view, they're like, we are here to stamp out piracy because it hurts Hollywood studios. Really, their motive is, we need to rub this guy out. He's a competitor, and we need to steal his idea so that we can take it over the world with our own version of it, which will be legal.
Can we do what the Coen brothers did at the start of Fargo and say that it's based on true events, even though it's like not very, and then like get into a prolonged legal battle with Netflix? The damage has been done by then. People are like, "Hey, you dirty Netflix, stealing an idea from sweet old man Anthony Hopkins in the Golden Triangle in Southeast Asia."
I think we should make. I think again, this is going to be a great film of twists because I think initially when the film starts, you think Anthony Hopkins is like an evil person.
Exactly.
That he is corrupted and he is like money grabbing and he is just like the worst kind of person where violence is happening and he's not doing anything about it. As the film goes on though, you start changing your opinion of him because he's just doing it for the love of films.
Exactly.
He's just doing it because there is no system available and the stranglehold that Hollywood has on the film distribution industry needs to be shaken up. He's just doing his little bit from his bunker in Cambodia or wherever he is.
So this is how it happens. Felicity Jones comes along. She meets him. She infiltrates his world.
Yep.
And as through a series of flashbacks, we then go back to Eddie Redmayne and his journey through the history of video piracy. She gradually comes around and she's suddenly on his side. How do we end the film? Because I had this like I don't really remember how Apocalypse Now ends. I think they strangle Marlon Brando. I have an image of Felicity Jones with a gun to Anthony Hopkins' head, and Anthony Hopkins gives his final monologue about this is just for the love of film, and this distribution platform is supposed to be free. It's supposed to be for everyone. And she's just like...
That's how I think it needs to end. So she kills him, but it's a moment of like the Netflix representatives are saying, do it, kill him, he's evil, yada, yada, yada. She's having an absolute crisis of like, what do I do? And through tears and through like a sheer struggle, she shoots and kills him. But then the film ends with just her in tears, like unable to comprehend what she's just done, while the Netflix agents go through and clean out the place just in the background. And it ends just like on that really like somber, dark, kind of sad note as well. Just to like, and then the kitten.
And there's definitely a couple of moments where like there's like a rickshaw that goes past and the kitten's sitting on the rickshaw because that's part of the 2-minute adventure that they have. Oh no, there's a python, like a giant tree python that the kitten befriends, and you see that at some point as well.
That's exactly right. Yeah, so I think it's not just one moment in the film that the kitten appears. It needs to, anytime we have like, because the film is going to be super dark.
Yes.
So we just need to add that little moment of levity, but just like throwing the kitten in the background there and just like making reference to this 2-minute 30 adventure you saw at the start of the film. I like this. This is wild. It's dark. It's dank, and
we need to get someone in who can write really interesting character interactions. Because it's like it can't be too expositional. It has to be just like a series of moments. Again, I wanted to compare this to a film where there's good character interactions. I'm like, what's that? Silence of the Lambs, which is essentially Anthony Hopkins and Jodie Foster, and they have these really great character interactions. Who wrote the script for that? Because I reckon we just
Jonathan
get them in.
Demme was the director of that film. I'm not sure who wrote the screenplay.
Because it's based on a Thomas Harris book.
Wrote the novel. Let me just contact the Academy. Again, we're contacting the Academy for a genuine film question. So, Silence of the Lambs, the screenplay was written by Ted Talley.
Good work, Ted Talley. You now have a job. You're writing our film.
All right,
You're
great.
on board.
Now, Ted Talley, I need to inform you that we do need... In the past, when we're focusing on the Eddie Redmayne version of Anthony Hopkins, we do need that initial scene that sort of kickstarts his entry into that world. You know how, like, in Last Crusade, the sort of Indiana Jones prototype hands Indy the hat?
The hat, yes.
And that's kind of like the birth point of the Indiana Jones character. What is Eddie Redmayne / Anthony Hopkins'
you know what I think it should be?
Yep.
There's a character who has been in and around Southeast Asia in the 80s, bootlegging cassette tapes. And the handover is that the Walkman with the soundtrack. And while the future stuff is all dark and gritty and shots to the head and people dying, we score the flashbacks with like a Duran bootleg cassette tape, and it's the handing over of the Walkman, and young Eddie Redmayne has always got that headphones on as he goes through, and it's something that he keeps with him the entire time.
Perfect. I love it. Matt, if he's handed it, maybe it should be because the person that's handing it to him is dying. So maybe a shadowy agent has just killed the original sort of piracy king
Yeah.
or queen.
You know what we can then do? I was thinking the whole way through, how do we do a sequel or a prequel to this?
Yeah.
But we do the prequel
Yeah.
with that character.
Yep.
And it's the same story, except iTunes is the people that are coming in to destroy the illegal
Yeah,
bootleg CD
exactly.
industry.
And then we'll also do a similar, like, family-friendly 2-minute 30 adventure film at the start and reference it throughout the film.
Yeah.
All right, I love this. This is just absolutely bang on perfect. The last thing we do need, of course, is a name for this film.
Always.
What are we going to call it? So we're dealing with bootlegging, we're dealing with piracy, illegal copying, we're dealing with those anti-piracy ads at the start of DVDs, and we're dealing with legacy, we're dealing with undercover agents and sleeper agents and all that kind of stuff. What are we going to call it? And I think, you know what? I think it needs to be something like, you know how reel-to-reel was like a recording method of sort of transferring audio or whatever from one reel to another? It's got to be something like that. It's got to reference the whole like copying a VHS aesthetic or burning a video CD aesthetic. What if we call... So, you know, on VHS, I know we're not... I mean, we still are dealing with VHS in this film because we're dealing with the early days of it. But you know how VHSs have that black tab on the top of them where if you break that... You can't record over it.
But you can put a piece of electrical tape.
Yeah. I think we need to reference that. So maybe if we call it like black tab.
Black tab's not bad. I quite like that.
Yeah.
It has that, like, the black tab is kind of like tabbing, like putting tabs on someone is following them.
Yep.
The black, dark sort of seediness to it.
Yep.
And
the Felicity Jones's descent into madness and blackness and darkness.
And you know what else?
Yep.
Black tabby cat. It all works in. It works.
That's it. We call the one at the start is also called Black Tab, and it's about a black tabby cat.
Yep.
And then it follows into the next film, which is also called Black Tab.
So perfect. So serendipitously perfect. I don't know how we stumbled onto that one.
I have no idea. And I think that's a wrap.
I think you're right.
Housekeeping as per usual. We are online at moviefilmstudios.net where you can find all of our previous episodes, our bios, and of course, Murphys Editor, the digital distribution platform of choice if you're looking for films that we've made. Search Facebook for Movie Film Studios and join the community where we post clues as to the trailers we've watched in upcoming episodes.
I have an easy week.
You do, actually.
There's, every Cold Pursuit, A Dog's Way Home, Destroyer, all of them can be translated, emojied and anagrammed.
You know what the challenge is for A Dog's Way Home? Can you do the entire trailer film in emoji form?
That's actually a really good idea. 2 minutes and 30 seconds summarized
into emojis.
Boy, dog, home, lost, wolf, bobcat, avalanche,
mountains,
steak.
If you want to listen to this podcast on a service that's different to the one you're currently listening to it on, we are on Apple Podcasts, iTunes, Podbean, Spotify, YouTube, and pretty much any other place that you get podcasts.
Also directly from the moviefilmstudios.net website.
Yes, exactly. You can go there if you want and look at pictures of the films that we've made fun of, I guess. There's a little bit of added extra visual incentive there, and our pictures are on there too, which is always nice to look at. And I think that's it.
All that remains is to thank you all again for listening this week. I've been Isaac.
And I've been AJ.
Roll credits.